Businesswomen and entrepreneurs from around the Middle East are gathered here in London. They're here to discuss the role of women in the economies of the Arab Spring. AlArabiya came to the event, and we wanted to find out, were the uprisings a good thing or a bad thing for women's participation in the economy?
I think the Arab Spring basically provided an opportunity for women when they rose up, hand in hand, right next to men. If actually in some areas the women were the front lines, as in Egypt and Tunis and in different places, they had a crucial role in the Arab Spring and in the change in the regimes. Now, this is to be celebrated, and we are not to take it for granted. Having said that, Arab women have also been told before, when they had a public participation in revolutionary change, to go back home, to be sent back home, and to just focus on domesticated issues. This is a crucial time for us not to repeat the patterns of the past. This is a crucial time for us to actually demand a very public role for the Arab woman. Now, so it's too early for me to decide to say whether it's been good or bad. I think the Arab women have to be celebrated for their role, and I think governments have to understand that there is no way to build the Arab economies of any country, Egypt or Tunis, without crucial and full participation of women. If we really want to be prosperous countries and with jobs and good living, then we need to include women. At the end of the day, the Arab Spring was actually about jobs, and it was about livelihood, and it was about dignified living. It wasn't only about oppressive dictatorship. It was about Arabs wanting to have dignified living. If we don't want to repeat that revolution, then we need to include women from now in the rebuilding process.
The revolutions in the Arab world have demonstrated how participatory women can be, and they have provided a very good opportunity for women to show in action how much of a force and a bargaining power they can be, either in terms of political parties putting their political programs together, or even later on in the second round for parliamentary elections, and maybe later on for presidential elections, playing a bigger role.
I think there is a real opportunity for women's participation. There is a challenge there in some of the legislative norms and standards that are being set. I think it's really important that parliaments focus on governance and policy issues and set standards for national legislation. It's important that women seize the moment on the municipal and on the civic rights end of things. I think what Women for Women International does very much is help participation of women at the municipal and community levels so they can act as catalysts of change coming up, going back to some of the seeds of what we saw with women standing side by side with men in Tahrir Square. I think now the opportunity is to see how do those civil and municipal engagements effectively engage with political structures at the central level to put women's issues back into governance and have governments focus on policy, norms, legal codes and standard setting, and leave issues around domestic, age of marriage, etc., back into civil engagement where they belong.
And one of these goals is to reach people who are not included at the moment, who don't have the equality of opportunity, and that's in many cases women. And we can do that by specifying in the projects that this is an objective of the project. It has benchmarks, concrete benchmarks that have to be met for us to give the funding. Well, I think it is very important because it's in very large unused capacity. Of course, women are doing a lot of work, maybe outside the official sector, but if we can bring them into the formal economy, there's a huge potential there for economic growth in the Arab region.